All right, there's no getting around it. We know it needs to be fixed. I'm going to try my best to tackle it. Name, image, and likeness. All right, we all know NIL. Whether you think it's good or whether you think it's bad, one thing is for sure. It is taking this sport in a direction that you don't want to go. Okay, if you've been sitting out there saying college athletes should be kind of, free labor, they've been doing all this for so long and everybody else is profiting, they should be profiting, which I will go on the record saying I agree with. But just like the transfer portal, you need to rein it in. Okay, and then I will say this. In a realistic world, it is not going to be easy to rein it in because when NIL started, it is basically as long as it followed state laws and basically anything was fair game. So, now when you reel things back, when you take something away, there might be some pushback. So it won't be easy, but here are some things that I have. First of all, what do you want to get rid of? What's the worst part about name, image, and likeness? The worst part about NIL is money taking kids from high school to a certain college. Money taking kids to transfer from school A to school B, even though their situation is perfectly fine at school A. So let's focus first on the high school end of thing. NIL deals cannot be negotiated, cannot be signed, whatever, until January 1st after the athlete steps on campus. So for that football player, right, we're just talking about football for now. For that football player, it's after that first freshman season. You basically know NIL deals your first freshman year on campus. So January 1st is then when you can start signing and negotiating name, image, and likeness deals because you want to get players on campus without the corruption from getting high school to college and having money pulling them in a specific direction. But you can't halt them all together. So that first season, January 1st, is kind of when that is able to be kicked in, when they can earn money. They need to be able to kind of earn it. And during that first year, I think education is key. Education, extracurriculars or classes and educating people. What's a good deal? What's a bad deal? Who to trust? Who not to trust? That is a huge edge. And then that's, I think, the biggest part of holding off on NIL for that first year for football players is the education part, right? These are 18-year-old kids, 19-year-old kids, and maybe they haven't had a job, or maybe they've only had one job and they haven't had to manage a lot of money. And now all of a sudden you get $1 million, you get $2 million, you get $3 million. And now all of a sudden, how do you manage that? How do you deal with that? How do I take that money and use it so I can, be properly, compensated and know my worth. Knowing your worth, that's a big skill going forward in life, no question about that. So January 1st, that's a big thing. Here's kind of a thing. We're going to go back and forth a little bit, and this one's outside of the box. Minor league football. All right, here's my plan for it. NFL, you can stop name, image, and likeness from getting out of control. So, minor league football. Let's just say the NFL, with the AFL merger back in the 60s, I think it was the 60s, they've already got the rights to the American Football League name. So I will resurrect the AFL and make it an 8-team league, an 8-team developmental league for the National Football League. So high school players can sign for more money than they would at NIL contracts. Okay, they would sign a 3-year deal coming out, and these teams it wouldn't be like affiliates like that is in baseball or hockey or anything like that. It would be a 3-year with a 1-year option league, and that would prepare them, and they would get drafted out of the American Football League. And this is pretty simple. You can put games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, put them on streaming services of, the networks that already have deals with the NFL, things like Peacock, ESPN Plus, Amazon Prime, that kind of thing. So now, okay, well, what does that have to do with NIL? Well, if you think about it, in theory, based on the number of players per class that are headed to fill out these 50-man rosters in this American Football League, you have the top 250 players in the nation. You slice it in half, essentially, with half of them going to college and half of them going to the American Football League. Now, is it going to dilute the product? Maybe, if you want to look at it that way. Are there not as good of players in college? Yeah, I guess so. But probably some of the best 150, 125, 150 players, maybe 100, however you want to slice that, are going to play in the AFL for more money. Now, they are going to sacrifice going to college and getting that education. That's a choice that players are going to have to make. But if we're looking at money, the NFL really can hammer home the ability to really get it, because college offenses can be a lot different, right? We've seen that when the transition from college to the NFL, and they could use the American Football League for coaching as well, to have up-and-coming coaches coach in the American Football League, and they could transfer easily to the National Football League. You have that NFL-style developmental in the AFL. So it's going to you're still going to have name, image, and likeness, but it's just going to bring down the emphasis. I don't think you'd have such big money deals. I think a lot of that money would go to players playing in the American Football League. And here's the thing. All name, image, and likeness must go through the NCAA offices, and schools have to report and show proof of every deal that they make. Okay, that's just got to be it. Okay, as much as people, they can hate the NCAA, they can hate red tape, they can hate all of this stuff. But I think there's one thing we got to agree on, is that there needs to be some rules and regulation in all of this. Okay, and things need to be reported. Think of the NCAA as the federal government in these cases, and these schools are like businesses. You're reporting your taxes, you're reporting your expenses, you're reporting these deals that are made, so things can be monitored, and it's not just willy-nilly. Everything's up in the air and we don't know what the hell is going on, because we need this thing to be in a box. Okay, we need to be able to control it. If we can't control it, it's going to continue to get worse, and college football is going to continue to drift away from what we know and love. I think the big part for me about name, image, and likeness is why players are going to certain schools. Look, I am all in favor of kids, when they're on campus, getting theirs. No doubt about it, that's been due for a very long time. But now kids being pulled in certain directions by certain people because of money, and not, I'm going to this school because they're going to be able to develop me the best. Instead, they're looking at now. They're looking at this period now. How can I get the most money now? That's what they're looking at. And there's adults in the room that are pulling kids certain ways. Hey, if we spend $20 million on name, image, and likeness, we can win a national title. Okay? And maybe they're doing it for winning, right? They're doing it to win and all that. But when you look at it from an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old's perspective, and you wave $1 million in their face, and you try to convince them that the University of Kentucky has a better shot to win a national championship than the University of Georgia, these are very impressionable kids. And the adults, and I honestly believe this, the adults in the room are the ones abusing this more than the kids. And they're the ones that are taking advantage of it more than the kids. Okay, I don't care what guys like Jimbo Fisher say. I don't care what guys like Nick Saban say. I don't care what guys like Lincoln Riley aren't saying. Right now, they're the ones that are reaping the rewards because of this. It looks like on the surface that the players, they're finally getting theirs, good for them. No, the coaches, yeah, they're getting theirs too, right, in the form of these players. And now they have more control than ever. Throw $1 million, throw $2 million at them, and they're just pawns in the game. And we're able to kind of get them and kind of dictate exactly where they're going to go. There's no doubt about it. We need regulation. Here's the last thing. Okay? In all of this, you can either opt in or opt out to name, image, and likeness. And I'll stick with football for this. For other sports, it may be different. Okay, if you opt into a name, image, and likeness, what does that mean? It basically means, hey, you can get paid. Yay! Okay, but here's the deal. You got to give up something. If you opt in to name, image, and likeness as a football player, you opt out of the ability to have your scholarship cover your tuition, which basically means you have to pay your tuition out of pocket. Now, because of scholarships, I mean, can you imagine what they would do with scholarships of all your best player now? Oh yeah, they can easily pay their own way. But now they're not on scholarship. So they'll technically still be on scholarship, considered scholarship players, books, fees, room, board, that kind of stuff. So they'll still be on a scholarship and they will still be considered scholarship players of some kind. But if you opt into NIL, you have to pay your own tuition. And then if you opt out of NIL, you still get your full scholarship, but you are not able to get paid via name, image, and likeness. I think if you're making, because these football players are going to be making a lot of money, that's always been the case for these naysayers that says, well, they're getting a full ride to school. And I get that. And that's a very valuable piece to this puzzle. And I understand that. And that's kind of why I'm putting this into my proposal. Because yeah, that's $50,000, $60,000 in some aspects, in some instances. So I think this is one thing that can be negotiated, that probably should be negotiated, that if football players, or maybe there's something in there where if you're making a certain amount, you have to pay back a certain percent of the tuition back, however that works. That's how I would do it. I would do an opt-in and an opt-out type of situation, a name, image, and likeness. I'm not an expert on this. Okay, this could be very far away from what eventually gets done. I am not an expert. This is just my thoughts to get the discussion started, what I would do. And this is not maybe like others where I feel pretty confident about the transfer portal or the college football playoff. This is just ideas. Okay, this is, I think, is a start. These are talking points. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear talking points from your side of this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What should we do with name, image, and likeness? Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. We'll see you in the next one.